It's a brand new season of the 60 plus racing adventures here on RaceSpotTV, coming to you from this opening round here at Road America. Fantastic racing track for some fantastic slipstreaming racing here in the Star Mazda cars. But you are here on RaceSpotTV. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me is David Haynes with Hugo Lewis on the cameras. And well, it's the start of a brand new season. 12 weeks of racing. We'll be bringing you the beginning, the middle and the end of this championship. But as I say, we're here for this opening round here at Road America. And well, we're getting ready for the start of this one. The qualifying has finished. And let's quickly take you through some of your qualifying grid here. And it is Stephen Karkner on pole position ahead of Andrew Fiddler in second. Jos van der Ven in third with Bill Lawrence rounding out your second row. John Morgan and Manning Grinning in fifth and sixth place. Stephen Rosegen with Mark Robertson 7th and 8th, John Unsby 9th and Leroy Coppage in 10th place. The rest of your field will be going through here. Nice big field here as well. 33 cars are registered here for the opening round of this championship. And David, let's bring you into this because of course you covered some of last season. What we're expecting from today?
Well, definitely the racing's always pretty good in this series, and it's a unique series because, as the name suggests, 60 plus racing adventures. All of these drivers will be at least 60 years of age by the 19th of July last year or next year, I can't remember. But you know, it's a great series. It shows that some of the older drivers on the iRacing service have still got it, and that iRacing is a great place to be if you've still got a thirst for some racing.
Absolutely, we're counting down the seconds towards the start of this one. As you see, nice big grid. Slipstream will be in effect here in this Star Mazda, and with it being a lesser powered car, you have to use that to your advantage. But we're all sat here waiting patiently. The green light, the green flag is out. Away we go. There's somebody not got away from the start further back, but we're heading down towards turn number 1 for the start of this one. And there's an accident further back there. Couple of cars up and over towards the rear of your field, as Bob Cohen is one of those drivers who got involved in that one. So major drama for him early on. But as we're heading on down towards turn number 3, onto the first of the long straights here, this is one of the main overtaking opportunities as you go through turn 4, heading down towards turn 5 on this opening lap. You're going to see cars fanning out behind, 2, 3 wide as they're heading towards turn number 5. And Jos van der Ven making a look down the inside, not going to make the move so far, or is he? Going to get a good exit out that corner, and Andrew Fiddler is going to have to just maybe back out that one for the time being. An 18 lap race, so not the longest of races here, but still plenty of time for these drivers to do some real good racing here. But so far so good. Only 3 cars have 2 cars have been in the pits, with the third just coming out now. But yeah, not the worst it starts, but a bit of drama further back in that one there, David.
Yeah, as you say, some drama further back. Pretty sensible racing up the front though. Jos van der Ven, you know, a great move there. One of those drivers who was a chance for the championship last year didn't get it because it went to Stefan Rosegen, who has lost 1 spot since the race start. So he's down in 8th. Not quite the start to his season he might have wanted to defend his championship, but lots of racing still to happen and he's still in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget that in this series, it is 2 races that you'll see here on this broadcast, and the best result from those 2 races will be what you take forward into the championship. So you may get your best result in the second race, so it's it's not all lost if you end up not getting the result that you expected to in this first race. But as they go across the line, it's Steve Kartner who's in the lead ahead of Jos van der Ven, with Andrew Fiedler in third, Bill Lawrence fourth, John Morgan fifth, with Michael Manning-Grinnen in sixth place. John Unsby, as we mentioned, he's up 2 positions from the start there. Both Stephen Rosechen and Mark Robertson down in 8th and 9th. Leroy Coppage rounding out the top 10. So not massive amount of people moving about your field in the opening stages. We've got 3 more drivers onto pit road, so other drivers that got involved in that opening event. In fact, Mark Robertson and Leroy Coppage are 2 of those drivers, so they have had to head onto pit road to get themselves some repairs done, as the front 2, Kartner, is coming under increasing pressure from Van der Ven, who's bringing Andrew Fiedler along with him as well. But Lawrence and the rest are not that far behind them either here. So David Van der Ven's really on a charge. He showed how good he was last season, and he's wanting to go just a few steps better this time.
Yeah, already made a great move on Andrew Fiedler, and now he's definitely looking at Stephen Kartner. Took a different line into the carousel, either to get more run through the corner, but he was really quick through the kink, and Kartner goes to the inside to defend, and they're going to go side by side, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely, down towards Canada corner, and Van der Ven's going to be in front here as they hit the brakes, and well, Kartner's going to look out for Andrew Fiedler behind, because he was looking at that one, decided not to go for it, and that's allowed Bill Lawrence now to get onto the back of Fiedler. So real sort of ebb and flow here happening at the front of your field as they head through that final turn. Use all of the runoff there on the left hand side through turn 14 and up the straight, because you need to carry as much speed out that corner all the way up the hill. It's a steep hill as you head up the track there, and Kartner now going back for the lead. So this is what we're going to see all the way through this event. We're going to see this slipstreams and side by side, and in fact there's cars coming out the pits there, and contact between your 2 leaders there. Around they go, Van der Ven and Kartner in the gravel trap. They're getting back running once again, but high drama there, David, between the 2 of them as they went into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. The first 2 cars going for a synchronized spin, and we're going to get a replay of this. I bet you that Jos van der Ven on the inside there was just put off a little bit by that car coming out of the pits. That would have distracted them a little bit, and it looks to me as if maybe Kartner squeezed down a little bit too far, but it's hard to say from that angle, and it could potentially just be a racing incident.
Well, we'll have a look from the aerial coverage there. And Van der Ven went down the inside, and they just seemed to just touch wheels there heading into turn 1. Absolute nightmare for those 2. But I tell you who isn't finding it a nightmare, it's Andrew Fiedler, who's found himself in the lead, and he's going to be laughing all the way down at the front there, but he's coming under intense pressure, by the way, from Bill Lawrence. We're getting to see a little bit of a replay of the start where they were going 3 wide and ended up tangling between themselves further down the order. So that's what happened at the start there in this race, and it was Pasqua Amigo de Pasqua who got involved and got tangled up in that one. It all sort of checked up and around and up and over they went there. 2 cars that ended up on their roll hoops. But as we come back to live footage, and we've got a change at the front, or have we? Because Lawrence has been tagged, up and over they go. Big crash there, and who was that? Who was involved in that one with Bill? That was John Unsby, I believe. Yes, it was. Look at the amount of damage on Unsby's car. There's nothing that he could have done about that one, but Lawrence got contact from behind, up and over, and Unsby's the innocent party in that one there.
Yeah, when Van der Ven and Kartner touched, it was wheel to wheel. Both of them lost time but got away with it. But here, big damage. So obviously we see on board from John Unsby. Bill Lawrence just gets spun around right in front of his path. He had no time to react, nowhere to go, and that is big damage for both of those cars.
Absolutely. Manning-Grinnen now is your race leader. He's run wide through turn number 3, and we'll see how Grinnen made it into the lead there. And still on that replay, it's going to be down towards turn number 1 where he makes the move for Grinnen. But yeah, we'll have a look again from on board with Manning there on the replay here as they head up through Bill Mitchell Bend. little contact, and whoa, there it goes. Up and over goes Unsby, the innocent party in that one. And yeah, that's how that's all happened there for them. We've had a number of cars then on pit road in this race. That's only 21 cars who haven't had a trip down onto pit road, as we see that overtake for the lead. It is Grinnan who made it down in towards turn number 1 for this race, but get back to live pictures here, and it's actually back now. Fiddler who's in front, coming out the carousel. Grinnan trying to hang on in the slipstream as they go through the kink here, David, and I tell you what, this is already a race of attrition here.
Yeah, exactly. We've got almost a third of the field have had to take the pit service of some kind. A very festive Christmas livery for Andrew Fiddler there. I like that. As he's with Manning Grinnan and John Morgan. These 3 cars made a little bit of a breakaway. 4th through to 9th behind them are all a little bit of a pack, and a big gainer there as Kenneth Baldwin is leading that pack in 4th, up 7 positions from where he started, dragging Stefan Roostjen, Jos van der Ven, Frans Brink and co along with him. But battle for the lead here. Manning Grinnan is going to once again look to the inside of turn 1 on Andrew Fiddler.
Yep, certainly are, and this is what you're going to see all race long. As behind as well, you've got the battle for 4th place going on. Oh, there's a big accident there, and Kenneth Baldwin now around the go is taking 2 people with them. Oh well, he's drawn. There's a further contact further back, and I think Gerald Forestian was involved in that one, but it was a 3-car incident to start with. Little contact between the 2 of them. Another car trying to avoid it all. Big drama. Then one of the cars tries to come across the track here, right in front of the Otto car. And well, it's a game of who can avoid which instance here. It's not been the best of opening rounds here, but I think everybody's trying to get their feet after the couple of weeks off from the series, but also slight changes to the car as well.
Yeah, all of those changes, but I think it's just everyone very, very eager to get out of the gate. Round 1, week 1, race 1. And one of those people might be Andrew Fiddler. They're going to go through the kink, and again, I think that might be flat out in these cars. So Manning Grinnan goes to the inside to try and defend, but I think the speed that Fiddler's carrying is great.
Yeah, there goes Grinnan then. Fiddler, sorry, on Grinnan into the lead again. These 3 are going to change position as they go along. I'll tell you what's interesting, John Morgan's just sat there behind these 2, hasn't really made any moves on either of them. He's allowed these 2 to just keep on swapping positions with the slipstream, and I think he's just biding his time, as in fact Fiddler goes way out wide onto the grass there out of turn 14, and that's going to allow Morgan now to get up alongside, up into 2nd place. So Fiddler down from 1st to 3rd in this one, but it's interesting to see that, David. Morgan was just happy and content staying in that 3rd place, just waiting there, but Van der Ven and Karkner, they're gaining on these 3.
Jos van der Ven has absolutely amazing speed in that car right now. Last lap, he pulled, I'm seeing it as much as maybe 0.6 of a second out of the lead pack, and it was maybe 2 seconds the lap before. He's bridged that gap, and it's now 4 cars, soon to be 5, in this lead pack. Jos van der Ven's brought himself back into this, and Stephen Karkner's tried to follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. Done the right thing here. Stephen Roostjen is the latest one to hit pit road. Here comes Van der Ven down the inside of Fiddler. So he's going to lose another position here through turn number 6. And Van der Ven absolutely on fire. Of course, Van der Ven is the man who started 3rd place in this race. He's back to where he started after an eventful opening to this race here. And Fiddler, he's just having to try and hang on here. It's almost as if that little run off track has maybe got him a little bit riled there, and he's trying to get himself back into a flow here, which is what you need to do in these cars, because you have to carry that speed down.
Yeah, some of these really long straights, like for instance here, that run out of the carousel, I'm pretty sure it's flat. all the way to Canada Corner. So where we're seeing a lot of our overtakes. It's a place where you really need to get the run set up, and you need a car that's quick in a straight line. Any little damage will unfortunately hurt you big time through both of those places.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, these drivers are using a fixed setup here. So nobody's got an advantage in terms of wing levels or anything like that. You can only change things like brake bias and the tyre pressures with a fixed setup here. And here comes Van der Ven then. He's making the move on Morgan as they go up the hill and across the line. We're starting lap number 7 here in this race, so almost at the halfway point. In fact, not even at the halfway point yet. It feels like it's been longer as this race because there's been so much going on in this one, and still plenty of time for people to make those moves. But Van der Ven up to 2nd place now in this one. He's back to where he was when he had that incident into turn number 1. Looking at the biggest movers in this one, look at that. You've got 13 places for Polo Preto, as here we go. Van der Ven down the inside of Grinnen into turn number 5. You also got Morgan having to go defensive on Fiddler, and Kartner is making moves as well. Biggest loser in all of this is Bill Lawrence, down 19 positions there, as you can see on the left hand side of your screen. Only 17 cars have not taken to the pits, and in fact Polo Preto has been in an instant down at turn 5. There's a number of cars here off, and that's the Brazil driver Polo Preto. We'll get it up on the replay here, David, but a little bit of slipstreaming, a little bit of grass tracking, and it's all just happened here. It's turn 5.
Yeah, he's just not managed to brake as quickly as the car ahead. Couldn't go to the right because another car had gone there. A little bit of a checkup, but maybe a little bit of poor situational awareness, a little bit unsighted for Polo Preto right underneath the rear wing of that car ahead.
Yeah, just got caught out by how much that car in front was braking, as another three cars got involved in that one as well. So still plenty going on in this race. I'll tell you what, look at Kartner now. He's in a really good position here at the back of the queue. As I say, not even at halfway stage of this race. And David Kartner, I would say, is looking good for possibly a podium position as Van der Ven feels he needs to go defensive.
Yeah, exactly. So a great view as Kartner goes very deep on the brakes and will grab 4th place from John Morgan, I think. But you know, him and Jos Van der Ven had amazing speed earlier in the race, and they tangled a little bit. Doesn't look like there was any damage to either of them. Now they're back up here at the lead, and Jos Van der Ven is trying to hold that lead, and I'm sure Steven Kartner wants to get back up there.
Definitely well, Van der Ven looking defensive because he's got Grinnen right behind him. Meanwhile, behind him, Kartner sold a dummy, gone very deep on the brakes, almost collects Grinnen. And I'll tell you what, Grinnen did a good job to avoid contact there. He saw him in his mirrors, keeps the car on track. Excellent car control there from the number 47 Manning Grinnen, because he could have ended up with Steven Kartner wiping him out there into turn number 5.
Yeah, I think the actions here of Manning Grinnen is what avoided any contact between those two. That was massively, massively bold under brakes from Steven Kartner. And look, at this point, Manning Grinnen maybe just pushed wide of his own whatever, but if he'd stayed on the racing surface, there would have been contact between him and Kartner, who was just so very, very deep under brakes, but just manages to get it turned up. So we get another angle here. That was close, boy oh boy.
Yeah, and look at the super slow-mo there, brought to you by RaceSpotTV and Amware Designs, as he goes flying over that bump on the exit. Oh, but back to live action, because Kartner has run wide out of Canada Corner, and here comes Grinnen back alongside, round the outside of Bill Mitchell Bend. That's what happens when you lose momentum by running wide here through the final turn once again, and they're losing the two leaders here. This is going to be crucial that they don't fight each other too much here, David. Still got plenty of time left in this race. You want to be working together to get yourselves back to Van der Ven and Fiddler, as Fiddler's looking to the inside.
Once again, they have a car come out of the pits in front of them, and that's put Oh, he's gone right off the track, so that's still hurt Jos van der Ven. Fiddler will get a look towards the inside of what the circuit calls turn 3 here, and van der Ven looks like he gets on the brakes a little bit early, sets up a run on the exit, but that's cost the 2 leaders time, because here is Karkner, here's Grinnen, and here's John Morgan.
Yeah, absolutely, and down the hill once again he goes. Through towards turn 5, Karkner in the middle. Doesn't want to end up wiping these 2 out in front. Real good driving from these 4 drivers, with Morgan again just sitting there behind them, waiting patiently as they're going through turn number 7 now. Heading down the hurry downs towards turn number 8. It's crucial to get a good line through here. Grinnen didn't do that. He's run wide through the gravel, and that's going to allow John Morgan to go through. Now, we've been focusing a lot on this front 5, but there's been so much action happening between them that it's hard to not pay attention to it, really, because there's been excellent racing between a lot of them. Van der Ven under pressure from Fiddler. This is going to be Fiddler once again trying to get alongside, using that slipstream, heading in towards Canada corner here, David, and once again light on the brakes of Van der Ven, really confident to take that outside line.
Yeah, Jos van der Ven seems to be very good at picking up the traction, whether he's on the inside or the outside, and there's a little touch there from Karkner on Fiddler. Both of them continue, but a little ambitious to try and grab the inside there. But I guess these leaders have been nothing but ambitious in a lot of this racing. Jos van der Ven leads, and now Manning Grinnen is going to take a little look. They all fan out across the track, and there's a little bit of tweak to the front wing for Manning Grinnen, but it doesn't seem to hurt the straight line speed as he does get past John Morgan.
Yeah, it will be affected through the corners perhaps by that damage to his front wing. Not the greatest amount of downforce generated by these cars. Really good sort of spec racing cars, as a wide goes Fiddler again through the grass. He's going to lose 1 place, possibly 2 places to John Morgan here as they're heading down the Moraine sweep through what they consider to be a turn 4. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Into 5, which is really turn 3 to me, and Van der Ven's run wide through 5, goes over the jump and the runoff there. He's lost 2 positions. So easy to get your braking wrong, because it is a downhill braking there, David.
Yeah, we were just saying he was pretty brave on the brakes, pretty good with the brake pedal earlier, and now he's just gone in a bit too deep into turn 5. He's still there in the middle of that pack, but that's not confidence inspiring to have that happen when you were not comfortably leading, but he had led a couple laps, and now Stephen Karkner is back in the lead. From that spin earlier, he's worked his way back, been patient, and we're now a little bit past that halfway point. He's back in the lead, but he's going to have to defend hard.
Yeah, he's got 2 drivers. It's Karkner and Grinnen and Van der Ven all together. Karkner down the inside, really good line through there. Grinnen has run wide. That's allowing Van der Ven to get alongside. Can he make the move through Bill Mitchell Bend? No, he can't. So that's going to be 3rd place for the time being for Van der Ven. Good racing between these guys, and once again Karkner just trying to make that breakaway, but he's not far enough ahead to break that slipstream. Meanwhile, Fiddler is feeling the need to get out the slipstream and to defend from John Morgan there further back. As they go down towards turn number 1 once again, start of lap 11, 18-lap race. Don't forget 2 18-lap races here in this championship. So these guys will be able to find it out once again in race number 2, and as I mentioned earlier, your best result from either of these 2 races will be where the championship points that you take into the next event. Don't forget Stephen Rosegen, last season's champion, down in 13th place at the moment. He's had a trip to pit road in this race, along with a number of other drivers as well. In fact, there's only 15 drivers who have not taken a trip to pit road here today, David.
Exactly, something about this circuit, it's just not being kind to some of these drivers, and there's plenty of places you can try and carry a little bit too much speed. And as we say that, Stefan Roestgen's had another problem. He's going slow and dropping down the order, so we get a replay of that. He was fighting, well, he was just ahead of John Unsby. He's gone into turn 1. Has he done that all by himself? Looks like he has just got a little bit too much curb, a little bit too much grass on the exit. Fully loaded up, that's spun the rear around, and he's not been able to save that from hitting the inside tyre wall. So, quick car speed from Stefan Roestgen. He's just not had a lucky race. And the same can a little bit be true of Jos van der Ven, who's got a lot of work if he wants to get first place because they're too wide in front of him, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still duking it out here towards turn 14. Once again, there'll be another lap on the books here. I just want to give a quick mention as well. They're close from 8th down to 10th, battling away for those final positions in the top 10. I just wanted to mention them whilst we have a moment there. But here comes Grinnen then to the outside. Van der Ven to the inside, down into turn 1. There's contact between the two of them, just the slightest. Into the runoff they go. Kartner appears. Van der Ven and Kartner can't keep themselves apart from each other here.
Yeah, for the second time, there's contact between Van der Ven and Kartner in the first corner, and both of them go into the gravel, but the race carries on. That was, I guess, technically legal from Jos van der Ven, but you're a very, very brave man to so late dive it up the inside, make it 3 wide into the fastest corner entry on the circuit.
Yeah, it's been fantastic racing to watch. Maybe a little bit scrappy at times, but still this series providing great entertainment for everybody here on the stream. I hope you're enjoying this one as much as I am, because this top 5 still all together here on track. And it is Fiddler, Andrew Fiddler at the front here into the left-hander then, heading towards the carousel once again. Beautiful corner, absolutely love going around this corner in any car really, but especially if you've got a bit of downforce, it really pushes it. Oh, we've had an instant further back, David Riley and Charles Gilly. Oh, there's another instant just happened just as we saw that then. John Unsby's involved. He's been involved in all sorts in this race today, but we'll get a replay of this one, David. It's down in towards turn number 5. Oh, they just got into the side of each other there. And then John Unsby coming in here. Gets clipped there, David. That's not the best, really.
So I thought that was all one big incident, but then we've seen there, it's sort of 2 separate things happening at once in that turn 5, which is one of the big passing opportunities on this circuit. So it's not a surprise that we see some action there, but maybe less contact would be preferable.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, it is a tricky corner to get absolutely right. Speaking of tricky corners, in towards turn number 1, and John Morgan, I think, just lifted off the throttle slightly there in towards 1 to let Kartner back through. Over to 4th place is the Canadian. In front, Grinnen and Van der Ven still battling it out. Use the slipstream of the car in front to give yourselves a good run out of turn number 3, heading towards the Marine Sweep once again. As they're still just in this line, waiting patiently. John Morgan just stepping out of the slipstream of Kartner. Here comes Van der Ven down the inside. Gets it on the apex. Nicely done there from Jos to get the lead back again. But of course, lap 13, it's an 18-lap race. We've seen how much slipstream has an effect. Also having an effect is the conditions here, David. Track temperature 40 degrees.
That is definitely mighty hot. They'll make the tyres feel a bit greasy and make it tough on the brakes, tough through the high-speed corners, and maybe not in this car as much, but definitely makes you have to be careful with your throttle application. And it doesn't... maybe a future iRacing update could make it hot in your own cockpit, but in real life, those hot track temperatures would definitely get to your head, get to your physical performance.
yeah, I wouldn't fancy an air-conditioned sim racing room in Australia at this time of year, but well, that's what a couple of drivers may have to put up with. But look at the battling further on. John Unsby has made himself back up to 12th place after everything that's gone on here. Keith Dubber and Stephen Rosejan, of course, Stephen, last season's champion, just getting it sideways through the left-hander there at turn number 8. We're heading on to another lap for your leaders as they start lap 14, but Stephen has really not had a good opening round of this championship. Leaders just staying as they are at the moment as Kartner looks to the inside of Grinnan. They give each other right space. In fact, Grinnan gives him a little bit more space, uses a bit of the grass in towards 3. Squeezing each other there on the entry, but Grinnan, if he can get a good exit here, use that slipstream with the 2 cars in front to get himself back ahead of Kartner here.
Yeah, it's almost oil racing strategies. You know, Jos van der Ven's doing what he can to try and hold on to the lead, but there's no way he can make a breakaway. As we're approaching, next time will be 4 laps to go. He's going to have to start thinking, does he actually want to lead this pack coming across the white flag with 1 lap to go? Or would he rather be in 2nd or 3rd, use the slipstream and jump back up into 1st? Maybe before Canada corner. These guys are going to have to think about where they want to be in this pack when we get towards the later points of the race.
Yeah, it's all about setting yourself up towards the end of the race, and you can almost imagine Andrew Fiddler just backing off, not trying to get past Van der Ven, just using the slipstream to keep him with him, so that when you get towards the final 2 laps of the race, then making your move. So many opportunities to use the slipstream, especially down here into Canada corner as well with this car, because you're able to keep it flat out through the kink, and that's exactly what Fiddler is doing. Down into Canada corner, holds the outside line, Van der Ven. He holds onto the lead as Van der Ven, and here comes Kartner now to the outside of Bill Mitchell Bend. Turn number 13 of this 14-turn circuit. And into the inside, Grinnan as well. So from going from attacking for the lead down to 4th place for Andrew Fiddler.
Yeah, we see how quickly it can change, and now John Morgan is thinking about it. He was one of those drivers who was happy to sit at the back of this pack. We suspect he almost let Kartner through, which was probably a clever move if Kartner was going to move up so quickly, just follow behind him rather than lose the pack fighting it. So they all go single file into turn 1, but plenty of changes in position on that lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple positions changed here in this one. Interesting to point out that Mark Robertson, the Florida driver, is ahead of PJ Sally. Mark, of course, was one of the championship contenders at the end of last season, and gave us a really good show in that final round at Sebring. But as they head on lap 15, as you mentioned earlier, 4 laps to go in this one. Your lead 5 pack are still staying together as they go through 6 into 7. These cars just flat out through there. They've got enough downforce to be able to do that. As they head into tighter than it looks, turn number 8. Try and get the good run out there, because you want to get the car out to the left hand side of the track to then give yourself the ideal line through the carousel. Maybe you try and get a late apex to get the run out of the carousel and carry the speed, because that speed will carry all the way through this kink here and all the way down the straight towards Canada corner. And I'll tell you what, Kartner is not actually as close as he'd maybe want to be here, David, to the leader, Jos van der Ven.
It's about half a second. You'd expect he might have closed up a little bit more, but Jos van der Ven's definitely not broken the draft, not made a breakaway from the pack. Kartner might be beginning to bide his time a little bit, though he gets a much better run out of the final corner. I do think he'll have a good run, especially up that hill. And Jos van der Ven sort of breaks to the inside, try and reduce the slipstream, and the whole centipede follows him along. He comes back to the racing line and they all follow back, and Kartner will nearly be there into turn 1, but not quite this time.
I get the feeling that there's a little bit of practice going on for a move coming up from Kartner. We've seen how late he can be on the brakes. Most of the time makes the apex as well, apart from that one time with Grinnan. But as they're heading down towards turn number 5 again, Leroy Coppage has had an incident on track. He's on my timing screen, he's dropped down a couple of places and showing us stopped. But we keep with his leaders for the time being into 5, and Van der Ven holding on that one at the moment. And well, these guys, they're just waiting for the ideal opportunity. Kartner staying behind here. By the way, Coppage did get back up and running, but dropped down a few places down to 16th. John Unsby is attacking PJ Sally for 11th place, who's still staying on the back on the gearbox, and Mark Robertson further down your order. I know we've not been really showing much of the rest of the field, but this is where all the action has mainly been, here right at the front. And Van der Ven is counting down the laps. He almost might want to let one of these guys through on the next lap to then give himself a go on the final lap of the race. Although, if you're out front in the lead, you want to keep it, don't you, David?
Normally you do, but there are certainly some circuits where you wouldn't want to lead going into the last lap. You'd want to be in that second position, potentially, if the draft was that strong. And now a little bit of gap opens between Kartner and Grinnan, but there is not much gap whatsoever between Kartner and Van der Ven. Van der Ven very early goes to the right-hand side of the track to try and defend. And then he goes back to the left. I'm not sure that's going to work, Jos Van der Ven. Goes back to the right, and now they'll go side by side. Van der Ven on the inside. A car coming out of the pits. They're just clear of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kartner's run wide through turn 1 though, gets on the grass, doesn't get a good exit. That's going to allow Van der Ven back in front here. Down to 3, and Van der Ven stays in front, but that's closed up the rest of this pack here. And once again, you've got a 5-car train all battling out for the lead here as Kartner looking to the right towards turn number 5. He's got the speed, he had the slipstream. He's on the ideal line for the braking, in towards 5. Wow, almost an overlap there between the two of them. Van der Ven does give him room on the exit, but keeps in front, crucially, for the time being. But time is running out here. We're only about a lap and a half away from the end here, David, and Kartner really wants to get this move done soon now.
Yeah, I think Jos Van der Ven's defence is ramping up, and he's showing, on the last lap, I won't be afraid to do this. Break the draft here, move to the inside there, try and break around the outside. He's showing Stephen Kartner that
we've lost Stephen Kartner. This might be a technical problem for Kartner here because we've lost him from the race. This would be heartbreaking.
I believe he's hit the incident limit.
Well, this would be heartbreaking if he has. Because incident limit of 12 in this race. You got to be careful, and he's out. He is no longer in this race, so it's going to be a battle between Van der Ven, Grinnan and Fiddler and Morgan, all for this. Van der Ven down into the braking zone for turn number 5. Van der Ven down the inside. On the exit there, Grinnan not able to get the run out the corner then as they go into turn number 6. Through the left-hander, through the right-hander of 7. They're going to head on through the hurry downs towards turn number 8. Places to overtake are running out here for Grinnan as he goes through the left, now into the carousel. Important to get your line right, important to get a good run through this corner.
Grinnan will be thinking about Canada corner because that's been one of the big spots for overtaking. So he still sits right there as they come through the kink. He closes up even further. Which side will Van der Ven go to defend? He stays to the left, which will be the outside of the corner.
Yeah, well, it's down towards Canada corner. Light on the brakes. Side by side, Grinnan and Van der Ven. Through the left-hander, it's going to be Grinnan in front as they're heading towards the final corner. Grinnen is in front for the time being, but it's all about the run out the corner. Van der Ven trying to use the slipstream. Grinnen is going to weave all the way up the straight to the inside, to the outside. Van der Ven alongside, they're going to come across the line. How close is it? At the line, it is 0.038 of a second. Grinnen over Jos van der Ven. John Morgan in third place, just ahead of Andrew Fiddler in fourth place. Apologies about losing the pictures. We're trying to work on getting those back there for you. But big, really close finish across the line between Manon Grinnen and Jos van der Ven. It's Grinnen who takes the win in this one. Further down, John Unsby has made an incredible comeback from a couple of instants. He's coming through towards the final corner now. He's in 9th place. He's pretty close to 8th place here as they're coming out of the corner, but he's not going to be quite close enough to make the move on Mark Lisson as they head on up the hill and head towards the checkered flag. And across the line they go then. So Unsby finishes this one in 9th place, just ahead of Mark Robertson, who of course was one of the championship contenders last season, in 10th place. Further down you've got Paulo Preto. He's making a recovery drive as well after that incident down at turn number 5, and he's going to end up ahead of Charles Gilly. Is he? Across the line they go, and it is going to be Gilly just behind Paulo Preto then for them. So I do apologise about losing the pictures here, but David, I mean, what a way to finish that first race. 38 thousandths of a second between your race leader and second place.
Yeah, exactly, and it sort of follows to what I was thinking, where maybe you didn't want to lead the pack coming into the last lap, and Manon Grinnen didn't, and then he made the move on the last lap on Jos van der Ven, and then just managed to hold on to it up the hill out of the last corner. So great racing. Unfortunate that we lost Stephen Karkner from that pack.
Yeah, it is unfortunate as that one, but well, hopefully through the magic of the internet we will be able to bring you the results then. So it is Manon Grinnen who wins this one ahead of Jos van der Ven in second place. John Morgan, third place, rounding out that podium. Really close between him and Andrew Fiddler across the line. In a big gap, 27.5 seconds was the gap between first and fifth place, which was Kenneth Baldwin, with Bruce Poole in 6th place. Wally Moulsby in 7th with Mark Lisson 8th. John Unsby, as I said, recovery drive. He started in 9th place and ends up in 9th place in that race with Mark Robertson in 10th. And then further down the race here, and it was Kenneth Dummer, Leroy Coppage, who had a little bit of an incident. Further down, Jack Turner, Paulo Preto, Charles Gilly, Bill Lawrence, Richard Viale, Larry Thomas and Paulo Bonacera rounded up your top 20 cars, and the rest of the cars finishing one lap down or more. Bob Cohen, Donald Fitterer, Gianni Raspaldo, Remigio Di Pasqua, David Riley, Ragnar Steinman, Stephen Karkner, of course, who we lost from that lead battle. Stephen Rosegen, not the best way to start off a championship defence there. Steve Isaacs, Joel Martin, Bob Kern, Gerald Florison and Franz Brink in the final position. Did not get a good start from that one, but David, hopefully we'll be able to get words with a couple of the drivers. And first of all, let's bring in Manon Grinnen then, and he's with David Haynes.
Well, Manning, a fantastic way to start the season. A win in race 1, round 1. And it looks like the slipstream is very, very powerful out there.
Oh, it is. And the 5 guys at the front had the sense to be just conservative enough to, and not to battle too much, that we managed to pull out a little pack out there that made life a lot simpler. Exactly.
So we saw that we thought with how powerful that overtaking slipstream was, maybe you didn't want to lead the pack going into the last lap. And Jos van der Ven was trying very hard to hold on to that lead. In the end, you managed to make the pass on the last lap. Was that your strategy from a little bit further back, or did it just all fall into place at the correct time?
There wasn't any strategy. There was trying to hold on to Jos by my coattails, by his coattails. He was faster than me, and what I really didn't want, and it turned out great, I did not want to be leading the race in coming around turn 2.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously a great start to your season, and race 2 now, you can't improve your result. All you can do is go out there and hopefully take away some points from what could be your championship rivals. Is this just a good result, or is this potentially the start of a championship tilt?
I'm not sure I'm as fast as the top 3 or 4 guys here. I had a really good race. When I'm quick, I'm pretty quick, but I'm a little erratic compared to these guys. I don't drive enough. So, yeah, this is enough to make them pay attention to me, but I don't think it's enough to scare them.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy this, and we wish you good luck in the next race coming up very shortly, and in the rest of the season.
Well, thank you, David.
There we go then. Matt, the man in Grinnen, the race winner from race number 1, and what we'll do is we'll bring Jos van der Ven into the commentary booth. Second place for Jos. I mean, that race, it had everything in that one. Just talk us through what happened at turn 1 a couple of times between yourself and Kartner.
Yeah, apparently Steven didn't see me in the first corner, and we both went off. But I could get up to the front again, but once you are in the front, it's hard to stay in the front with this car and on this track. So it was a very exciting race, maybe a little bit over aggressive. I had some scary moments, but well, after I went off in the first corner, I was a little bit angry, of course, and I felt I was the fastest car on the track, and I wanted to win this race, but that looked good until the last few corners. Then Manning could pass me, and it was just a small gap, but second place, yeah, I'm happy with it though.
I was going to say, you've looked quick all the way through these races, this first race here, and just heading into that second race on of the evening, you're thinking that maybe that one position further up is within grasp.
Well, I try to do my best, of course, but as I already told, it's hard to stay in front because of the draft.
Well, thank you very much, Jos, and all the best for race number 2 of the evening.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And David, why don't you take it away with the man who finished in 3rd place in this race? Is John Morgan, of course.
Well, John, I guess congratulations on 3rd place right off the bat. But we saw a few times in that leading pack, you maybe lifted out of the throttle to let some other drivers through, or was that potentially aerodynamic damage?
No, I let them through. I figured the best place to see that race was from 5th place. They were going at it pretty hard, and nobody's going to get away at Road America, so I knew I'd be able to just hang on the back, and figured in the last couple of laps that I'd try to make a couple moves and see where I could go. So it was intentional.
I have to say, a relatively clever strategy in the end, because you do get 3rd place and the points that come with that, and a good opportunity in the next race to either match it, improve it, or take some points away from the other drivers. Is that the best you could do, or do you think you can go better in the next race?
You never know. I mean, I felt I had a pretty good pace, and I felt I had some spots where I could hold somebody off if I drafted past on the last lap. You know, Steve Karkner was unfortunate to sort of get dropped out of that race, or I think he'd have been in front of me. But yeah, what I'm going to try to do in the second race is the same thing. Try to, you know, grab onto the tail end of that lead group, let them gap the rest of the field, and then kind of watch the race play out from there.
And we saw a lot of drivers in this race, nearly 2/3 of the field, needed to go down the pit lane and grab some repairs. What is it about this car and this circuit and the racing that's catching a lot of people out?
I think some of it is the change in the weather, the way iRacing is modeling weather now. We used to race, last season we raced in basically mostly cloudy conditions with a little bit cooler track and more traction, a little bit more stable. And now with the dynamic sky, I think today we had a pretty clear sky and a pretty hot track, and it was a little slick, and I think that may have caught some guys out a little bit. So I think it's that, and maybe just first race sort of jitters for some guys.
All right, and your thoughts just really quickly on these no pit stop races. Is it better to have an all-out sprint and not have to think about the fuel, or did that add something?
I like pit stops. I like the extra strategy. These race like today was good just because it was intense, and the group that I was in, we got away, so that was fun. But I do like pit stop races.
All right, well, once again, standing on the podium for race 1, not a bad way to start the season. So I wish you luck in the next race, and we'll see you then.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so that was John Morgan then joining us in the commentary booth then. That's your podium finishes. And just quickly, before we head on to break, David, what were your thoughts on that first race?
I mean, there was plenty of racing happening up and down the field, and unfortunately we didn't get to see all of it deeper in the field because we could not take our eyes off that lead group, because whenever we did, they shuffled themselves around, or they went off track, or there was a little bit of a bump or something. So no shortage of racing or drama, and it goes to show that the oldies have still got something up their sleeve.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic racing in this series, and we're going to get more of it after this ad break. So don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back in about 5 minutes or so for race number 2 of the evening. So go get yourself a quick drink, and don't want to miss this one, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. You're watching the 60 Plus Racing Adventures here, the season opener on RaceSpotTV. Stick around. Welcome back to the 60 plus racing adventures here on RaceSpotTV. Thank you for joining us here on this broadcast, and well, what a first race we saw for you there, and unfortunately we didn't catch the end of that due to a few technical problems, so hopefully we'll be able to bring the end of that race up on screen, because it was an absolutely thrilling across the line finish for them, and it was of course Grinnan who took the win in that one. And these guys, they know how to put on a show using the slipstream. He was able to get a good run out the final corner, get up alongside. In fact, we'll have a look at it now. We're having a look at the replay. So this is from earlier on in the laps. This is going down towards turn number 5 then. Grinnan looking to the outside of Van der Ven. Getting on the brakes though, turning it in. Tries to get the run out of number 5 into 6, but knows he can't do it quite there. So go through 6 then, into 7. Grinnan knew that he just had to stick behind, use that slipstream, use the speed that he could get from that slipstream, and to keep Van der Ven under pressure, because he may force a mistake from him. So they go through the carousel. Different lines were taken through there as well, as I tried to get the good run. Grinnan was a little bit tighter on the exit there, was able to get a little bit of a good run through there, so went through the kink then, through the right-hander, looks to the inside, heading towards Canada corner. And this is where they're really starting to battle, and you saw the cars behind as well were battling on track. Van der Ven did a really good job of carrying speed through the mid-corner, holding an outside line. Grinnan on the outside now through Bill Mitchell Bend. He had the inside line for the final corner, got his nose in front, and then what he needed to do was just hold on to it, get a good exit, and then this is where you're going to see him go defensive. He goes to the right of the track, goes right up to the pit wall there, then back to the left. Then that's where Van der Ven gets that overlap, and across the line they went absolutely together. And as we said earlier on the broadcast, 38 thousandths of a second between the two of them. And David, it was a great finish to that first race, and we could expect more from the second race as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Look at that, just how close they were over the line. I'd say that was maybe less than half a car width. Not a whole lot in it, and it just shows that if you're leading the pack coming out of the last corner, you're not a certainty to still be leading when you get up the hill and that long distance towards the start-finish line. And look at that. That's not bad. I mean, there's closer finishes have happened, but if you're Manning Grinnan, you would not have felt comfortable at all.
Absolutely, you'd have been hoping for that checkered flag to come sooner than it did, but certainly it was a really good close finish. It was a close finish for 3rd and 4th as well, but not quite as close as that. We're heading in towards qualifying, the start of qualifying for this second race of the evening. So what we may do is we may give you a fan immersion lap on board one of these drivers when they get going on their fast lap, so you can see what this track is like for these drivers to compete on, because it is of course a tough track. It's not the widest of tracks here, David, because it is a tricky old track to get right, and it is difficult, as we saw in that first race, to make moves and make them stick.
Yeah, precisely. It's got lots of tricky corners, a bunch of elevation change, and but quite a few long straights. There's plenty of passing opportunities, like into turn 1, down here into turn 5, and then also into Canada corner. With all of those long straights, these little cars, 200 and something horsepower from that lovely sounding Mazda rotary engine, well, it's just not as much power as some other open wheelers. And certainly the draft effect we've seen is worth maybe 5-6 tenths of a second down some of the longer straights.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really powerful here along those long straights, and of course this track is a famous track. It's been used for decades as this track, and I've always enjoyed watching racing down at Road America. I remember it back in my first experience of watching any racing around here was back when Nigel Mansell joined the IndyCar series back in 1993, his rookie year, and Elkhart Lake, that's how it was known to me back then, and it was always great to see the racing there. But what we'll do is we'll give you a fan immersion lap then. We're going to go on board with the auto car of Joel Martin then as he heads towards that final corner, and we'll give you then this RaceSpotTV fan immersion lap, one lap of this glorious facility. So out the final corner then goes Joel Martin, and we'll be able to see his time then up on screen. Stephen Cartner's put provisionally on pole for the time being. Joel Martin comes across the line there at 2:07.1. Not the best lap from him, he will be slightly disappointed with that, but the times are coming in now. Van der Ven is provisionally on pole ahead of Stephen Cartner. Matt Robertson, John Morgan has just put in a really good lap time, half a second off your leader. Manon Grinnan, these names are looking a bit familiar to race one here as they put these times in here, David. So Joel will be a little bit disappointed with that lap that we had on board with him. It's not the slowest lap that we've seen here, but he'll be wanting to improve on the second lap. But again, the closeness of some of these times here, Stephen Cartner and Mark Robertson, for instance, 1,000ths of a second between them.
Yep, you literally couldn't make it any closer than that. And I think the fastest race lap we saw in race 1 might have been from Stefan Rostjen in a 2-minute 2-point-something, but presumably with some very significant draft assistance. No such thing out here in qualifying, it's all by themselves. So anything in the 2-minute 3s like Jos van der Ven has done, that's pretty impressive, you'd have to say.
Yeah, it certainly is. Without that slipstream, without the draft effect, really putting in some good lap times here. We're looking at Matt Robertson at the moment. He's trying to get pole position here. Track temperature, like first race, 43 degrees, so it's a little bit hotter than the start of the last race, because at the start of the last race it was about 40 degrees, but I did notice during that first race that the track temperature was cooling throughout that one. It was still quite hot, but it was cooling through that first race. It just goes to show how this dynamic sky that iRacing have introduced on this latest update of the simulator has really to change the dynamics of how teams maybe set up cars. As here comes Robertson, as Cartner actually puts in a faster lap time onto pole position. Robertson across the line does not improve. John Unsby, 3rd place. Bill Lawrence now put to 4th place on your provisional grid here. But yeah, David, you've seen how that those track conditions really do affect them, and how it either speeds up or slows down the track here.
Yeah, exactly. And what we get now is the position of the sun moving across the sky. So currently 2:48 p.m. is the time in the server, and so the sun is starting to get a little bit lower in the sky, and as it continues to go further down, then its angle with the racetrack reduces. The amount of heat it's putting into the racetrack might go down a little bit, and you might see the track temperatures drop as it gets a little bit later into the afternoon. That's the kind of thing that can happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic to bring that in to the sim. Great job that iRacing have done with that, by the way. Stefan Rosejan, we're just having a look at the moment. Of course, Season 8 champion. Won that championship by 7 points over Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence just ahead of him at the moment, provisionally on your starting grid. Thrill Bill Mitchell Bend. If you're from the UK, people keep on saying Phil Mitchell Bend from a certain soap opera over here. But through the final corner that goes there.
I'd have no idea, Paul.
Yeah, that's why I said people in the UK. As it goes
not
up
neighbours?
the hill. No, not neighbours. All home and away. But anyway, across the line he'll come. Does he improve? No, he does not improve his time. So stays in 5th place then, as he comes to a stop then. His final drivers out on laps. There's not really anyone. Manning Grinnan is not on a lap here. Tell you who is Kenneth Baldwin, heading down towards Canada Corner. On a hot lap here, he'll be trying to improve. And it's a long old middle sector here. This track, 55 seconds for that middle timing sector here, David. So it just goes to show that this track, as I say, about 4 miles long. It takes a while to get around, but it is still a fast track.
Yeah, even in a quick car, your lap times are rather significant. And a rolling start around this circuit gives you a full pace lap at the pace car speeds, which can take as much as 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Kenneth Baldwin unfortunately not able to improve his time, so that means that he's not going to improve. Andrew Fiddler is on a lap here. His 2nd lap of qualifying in towards 10.5, so he's got quite a bit of the track to go yet in this one. He's currently 1.2 seconds off of the pole position time. He's the only man left doing any laps. He may actually run out of time here because he's only got 23 seconds left in this qualifying, so he's not going to get to the end of this session. So 16th place is going to be his position on the grid here. He'll be kicking himself for that one, really. But what that does mean, as that clock ticks down, we will be able to give you your starting grid for race number 2 of this season opener here in the 60 Plus Racing Adventures, and it is Stephen Cartner, the Canadian, on pole position ahead of Jos van der Ven in 2nd place, the man who finished in 2nd place in race number 1. John Unsby, he'll be hoping for a much better race, starting off in 3rd with Bill Lawrence as well. Not the best first race, in 4th place. Stefan Rosejan, another one involved in instance in race 1, starting in 5th with Mark Robertson in 6th place. Manning Grinnan, race 1 winner in 7th with John Morgan 8th. 9th is Leroy Coppage with Franz Brink rounding up the top 10. The rest of your grid will be going through on screen here, but David, we saw what excitement and drama we could get from these drivers in that first race. We're expecting more of the same in race 2.
Yeah, exactly. Drivers like Jos van der Ven and others have already got a pretty good result in the bank. It's drivers like Stephen Cartner on pole, like Stefan Rosejan in 5th, who are sort of didn't have the first race they wanted. They're kind of all or nothing right now. They can't afford the contacts, can't afford a bad race, with someone like Manning Grinnan or Jos van der Ven while they've already got some good points in the bag, they can only go up from race 1.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all set for race number 2 then of the evening. Engine revs will rise. Waiting for the green flag. It's in the air. Good initial start from Kartner on pole position. Terrible start from Van der Ven because he's got John Unsby alongside of a big incident at the back. It's happened again. Oh, and I think there's going to be a few more cars involved in that one.
Circuit is blocked there, Paul. They're strewn all the way across the track from the inside wall to the outside wall. And if you're back there, like Andrew Fiddler, you've got nowhere you can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Already Wally Moulsby, Larry Thomas have decided to take themselves a tour to the pit lane. There's going to be no safety car here, so we're going to be carrying on in this race. So it's Steve Kartner in the lead. Quite a number of cars have taken to the pit road after that incident. We'll get a replay of that later on for you, but we'll get through lap number 1 here. And Kartner's trying to pull away from John Unsby. Jos van der Ven, 3rd place. I said he did a good getaway from the start, and he's got who's that behind? Stefan Rosjan right behind him, season 8 champion, trying to look at his gearbox into turn number 8. They go for the first time, running out wide into the carousel for the first time in this race. Again, an 18-lap race in this one. And those that have been involved in that incident at the start there, hopefully they didn't get involved in that incident in race 1, because that would just really finish off what has been a terrible night for some drivers. But we still look at this. It's still Kartner in the lead. Unsby coming under attack from Van der Ven, but not able to make any moves for the time being as we go through Canada corner. Heading towards the end of the lap, turn 13, the left-hander here, heading towards your final corner, the right-hander onto the start-finish straight. And David, high drama, and you mentioned it, that track was completely blocked, and that spread this field right out.
And that's one of those things with the start-finish straight here at Road America, is that pit wall is right at the side of the circuit. If there's a problem in front of you, you can't go to the grass to the right because there isn't any. And Jos van der Ven now is under attack from Stefan Rosjan. So the champion, reigning champion, now looking to make an impact on race 2, making a look and impact on someone who could have been the race 1 winner, if not for a matter of Kartner runs off the track there as I interrupt my own thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Kartner running wide. Oh, he's going to try and chop off Stefan Rosjan. That's not going to work here as they go down the hill. So it's down John Unsby, the man who got involved in so much in that first race. Of course, Kartner late to the brakes again. He showed that in race number 1 that he's able to do that into that turn number 5. Not the best exit out the corner, and he's going to come under pressure now. Down the inside goes Robertson. I did want to mention the Super 70s champion from season 8 was John Unsby, so he's shown that he's a really good fast driver here, and he's doing it again. He's out at the front, but for how long can he hang on to that? Because we saw in race number 1 how Jos van der Ven couldn't hang on to the lead even though he was there for pretty much the whole race.
Yeah, exactly. So that the dynamics of the way the slipstream works is so fascinating to how they strategize their race. But the gap between Jos van der Ven and Steven Kartner, well, he'll be lucky that the two in front of him are fighting, because he normally almost lost this train. So Unsby will go to the inside of Canada corner.
Oh, who was that off? It's Unsby. Lost it at Canada corner. Oh, and it was looking so good for him. And off he went into the Kisselator. Didn't hit any walls there, so that's good. But basically just got a little tap from Van der Ven in Canada corner. Ends up dropping down to 9th place on the road here. We'll get another look at that one, David. But just unfortunate for John that the two just came together there.
Yeah, difficult to see from that shallow angle, but I think Unsby's just gone a bit deep on the brakes, couldn't get it turned, and has sort of come across the outside line that Jos van der Ven was going to hold. Now, this is someone coming out of the pits, a lap down in front of the lead pack, led by Mark Robertson, Stephen Karkner in there, as is Rostjan. So they're fanning all the way across the circuit, and these guys are going to have to be very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a recipe for trouble here as they're heading down towards turn number 5 once again in this race. Lap 3 of the race. Grinnen looking down the inside of Van der Ven. You've got Karkner all over the back of Robertson. Here comes Rosjan down the inside of Grinnen into 6. He can't really normally make the move there, but he's giving it a good go. And I tell you what, he's made it work as well. Stefan Rosjan up into 4th place. We've got a car off behind. That's that car that was coming out the pits. He's trying to keep out of everybody's way because these lot at the front, they're all trying to stay with your leader, Mark Robertson, and there's just a little bit of a gap open up between Van der Ven and Stefan Rosjan.
Yep, that 818's Larry Thomas, 28th position. So, whoa, and I was about to say he's off, and he's well out of the way of the leaders now, unfortunately, as he might have rejoined with some enthusiasm back there as well. He's now on his...
I don't think he had much control of that rejoin, to be fair. Yeah, the car just got out of shape, and he's collected somebody there, unfortunately. But he's out the way. But he's had to take a tour back to the pits. That was the number 4 car of Amigo de Pasqua down in 11th place. It'll be easier to say how many cars haven't been in the pits than have. It's 18 cars. That's how many are still running who haven't been in the pits, either getting caught up in that opening incident or have in several other incidents. But across the line to go, Robertson and Karkner. You've also got Van der Ven and Rosjan involved in this one. Here comes Van der Ven down the inside of Karkner, making the move into turn number 1. But of course, with the slipstream effects we saw in that first race, there's no point getting too excited about what's happened at this point. It's right at the end is the most important part.
Great to watch nonetheless, as I think Stephen Karkner will be a little bit more wary of how close and how hard he dices with Jos Van der Ven after the results of race 1, but he's not going to be too scared because Stephen Karkner will look to the inside of turn 5, once again very brave on the brakes, and he scares Mark Robertson a little bit. He might grab the lead this time. Not the first time we've seen Stephen Karkner be just a car length or so deeper on the brakes into turn 5 than everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. It really seems to click with this standard setup that everybody uses here. Of course, it is a fixed setup in this series, so no advantage, no wing advantage or anything like that. Just little changes like brake bias, tyre pressures. That's all you can really do with these cars. So it makes for really good close racing. Now they've got a couple of lap traffic in front of them that might get involved in this one.
Florison as one car.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he's not a slouch. 7. He's not a slouch as Florison, it must be said, so he shouldn't be too much of an effect. But here comes Robertson and Karkner again. Karkner's going to look to the inside, try and make that move stick. As they're going to Canada Corner, does indeed make his way through. So Robertson down to 2nd. It's Van der Ven now all over the gearbox. And Karkner, what he wants to happen is those guys behind to attack each other a little bit exuberantly for him to make a breakaway.
Yeah, at some point he'll also be able to grab a little bit of slipstream off Jared Florison, who's a lap down. That could help him make a breakaway potentially, but that's just so difficult to do. And on this lead pack here of 7 cars, right on the back is John Morgan, probably just hanging out, trying to repeat what he did in the first race. Just stay out of trouble, stay with the lead pack, see what he can do later in the race.
We've had a spinner, Bob Cohen, down at the last corner. I think he may have done it all by himself, but he's had a spin there. We'll have a look on the replay here. He's looked to the inside of the car and just lost that car. Luckily doesn't hit any wall there. He's got a little bit of front wing damage. Had to get it in reverse and get it going again, but disappointment there for Bob. He's in 18th. As we'll now look back towards your lead pack. They made their way past some of that black traffic. That was Florison, as we were mentioning, just getting out of the way. As Karkner and Van der Ven within 4/10 of each other. It's close at the front 2.5 seconds covering 1st to 7th place. John Unsby is 2.5 seconds behind John Morgan there in 8th, and he's got Bob Kern and Kenneth Dummer right behind him as well. So really close action all the way through your field here, David, and this is what you always get with the Pro Mazda car and at this championship, and it's always fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. That lead pack of 7, it's the same cars we saw last race, but with the addition of Mark Robertson and Stefan Rostjen, 2 drivers who really need to improve on their race 1 result in race 2. So that'll be an interesting dynamic that plays out later. Like you said, there's maybe a 3 to 4 second gap off John Morgan on the back of this train to the battle for 8th position. Which is an interesting little one. John Unsby there, as you said, with Bob Kern, Kenneth Dummer, and they're not far away from having Jack Turner and Remigio de Pasqua on them. All down the list, there is still plenty of racing. We've got a lapped car in front of the leaders here. Might impede Karkner a little bit into turn 1 if the number 52 car doesn't get out of the way pretty quickly. Who is that? That's PJ Sally, who was running pretty well in the first race, does the very gentlemanly thing, as a lot of these are rather gentleman drivers, and stays to the inside between turns 1 and 3, lets this big pack through, lets them race uninterrupted, which is very sporting.
Yeah, absolutely. Realises it's not his race to have with those drivers, and Kartner will be happy with that because he got a little bit of a slipstream down towards turn number 1, so it worked out pretty well for him as we go through turn number 5 once again into 6. I mentioned about the conditions, it's not really cooled down much on the 1 degree cooler, so these drivers pushing hard on quite a warm track temperature, 42 degrees Celsius. That is many, well, it's in the hundreds Fahrenheit, is that. And all these drivers, they've got to be a little bit careful with those tyres, not to overheat them, because it's so easy to do if you get a little bit too happy on the throttle pedal, and you can overheat those tyres in no time.
Yeah, it can be a tail-happy little car, and once it gets that way, it's difficult to get the tyres back within the window. And for the lead, Karkner and Van der Ven, how many times have we said that today? Plenty. And Jos Van der Ven will go to the inside of Canada corner. I think if Karkner's clever, he might just let him have it, sit back in there, because there's plenty of laps to go. We've seen that maybe you don't even want to lead the pack going into the last lap. But that sort of makes Karkner a little bit more vulnerable to Mark Robertson and Stefan Rostjen, sort of sitting in 3rd and 4th. Right there, and Karkner under a little bit more pressure now.
Yeah, absolutely. This pack has closed up a little bit now. It's only 1.6 seconds between 1st and 7th, so really close action between the front 7 here. Karkner looking to the outside of turn number 1. This is a little bit of deja vu from race 1, but Van der Ven decided, you know what? You have the lead if you want it. Look at on board. What a shot from Robertson here. 3rd place. You got the 2 guys in front, Van der Ven and Karkner, battling out for the lead. You're sitting in the slipstream, but behind him, you've got Stefan Rostjen, Manning Grinnan, who of course won race 1, Bill Lawrence and John Morgan, all trying to get involved in this one. And this train of cars is just coming together, and it should provide, if they all manage to keep it all together and keep it on the road, should provide us with a thrilling finish here as we're on lap 7 at the moment. John Unsby and Kenneth Dummer, by the way, have been battling it out, and Dummer's not made it fast for the time being, and Unsby is coming under pressure, but we'll keep with this front battle then. And it is just line astern at the moment, David, through the carousel. This is one of my favourite corners in any track of any on this iRacing service. It's absolutely fantastic to go through.
Yeah, I had a race here in an IndyCar road league not so long ago, and with a bit of downforce wound onto that thing, coming through that carousel corner, very rewarding. Got to set the line up right, got to get on the throttle at the right time, not too much oversteer, not too much understeer, but it just keeps coming. It's a very frustrating corner if you get it wrong, but if you get to the apex on the exit just right, get the throttle open early, carry plenty of speed out of the exit, really does set you up for a good overtaking opportunity into Canada corner. It's it's a real driver's corner. Either you love it or you hate it. Either it works for you or it doesn't.
Yes, Van der Ven had made the move into the lead ahead of Kartner into Canada corner. We've got Rosjan having a look. We've also got Grinnen in the slipstream of Rosjan. You've got Bill Lawrence there involved. Kartner goes back into the lead here, running a little bit wide through turn 1. It's going to be compromised, but Van der Ven also wide there. Robertson looking dangerous. He's thinking about maybe making a move at some point as they go through turn number 3 now. Heading down the straight once again. Here comes Van der Ven making the move. Now, is it just me, or has Van der Ven just got the slightest of front wing damage on the right hand side of his wing as Kartner lets him through, and here comes Robertson down the inside into 5. 2 positions gained there for him. Really good move. Kartner's running a little bit slower there out of turn number 5. Slots it in though in 3rd place.
Stefan Rostron loses out to Manning Grinnen through all of that, but that move just then by Mark Robertson from a decent way back, he almost basically saw Kartner all the way to the inside, Van der Ven all the way to the outside, and decided to just whoop straight through the middle, grab the lead. And a significant looking lead he's got now as Van der Ven has Kartner right behind. And Grinnen is up 3 spots from where he started, maybe thinking about another race win.
Yeah, I tell you what, Van der Ven didn't get the best run out of turn number 8 and towards the carousel, and that's what's just let Robertson pull out that little bit of a gap. Kartner behind, decided not to make any move for the time being, but Van der Ven's back on the gearbox of Robertson as they're heading through turn number 13 once again. Van der Ven's looked quick all evening here, and he's really giving it a go through turn 14. Robertson's giving it everything. He was running right out to the edge of that little bit of curbing there on the exit, but no point in fighting this too hard as they come across the line here, because Van der Ven's got the slipstream, got the momentum, and he's going through on the inside. And will he make it stick here towards turn number 1? I think Robertson's deciding, yeah, let's back out of that one. Let him take that position. There's no point in trying too hard here, David.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers will have learned from the first race that they can fight as much as they like, but they're not going to break away from a pack of seasoned drivers like this. It's all just jockeying for position until the final sprint, a little bit like the Tour de France or bicycle racing or something.
Yeah, absolutely. The leader of the peloton at the moment is Jos Van der Ven then, as here comes Kartner down the inside, down the outside of turn number 5 on Mark Robertson. Just squeeze him a little bit on the exit there. Robertson though on the inside deciding to just get out of it. Let Kartner through, because actually Van der Ven's pulled out about a second gap here through all of that. So this is maybe a breakaway here for Jos Van der Ven. He needs to give it absolutely everything here to try and make this work here, David.
Yeah, exactly. For the first time, Van der Ven's got a gap of bigger than 1 second. I'm not sure quite how far backwards the slipstream advantage will go, but he needs Kartner and Robertson and Grinnen and Rostron to fight right now, and I think someone like Stephen Kartner will be a little bit wise to this going on. He's pulled it back to 9/10, and he desperately needs Mark Robertson to just stay in line for a couple corners, let him bridge that gap back up, and if the guys behind him are clever, they'll let him do that, and Manning Grinnen run very wide out of Canada corner as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So these drivers, they've all got to work together. It sounds strange when you say it like this. They're all competing, and yet they're working together. Stefan
Rostron goes wide in the final corner.
Yeah, that's a big mistake from him. The Season 8 champion. It's not been his day here. He is still running and in 7th place. This will be his best result if he does stay there. But big mistake to happen there. Robertson and Kartner, they're battling it out. The 6/10 behind Jos Van der Ven, so they'll still be in the slipstream. But yeah, Rostron, not the best to run through the final corner. That's left him all on his own in 7th place. 4 seconds behind this leading pack. So we're down to 6 cars now, David, in this leading group.
Yeah, exactly. And the amount of airtime that Stefan Rostron got through some of those bumps in the outfield as we look a bit further back in the field to the second pack is Kenneth Gilmer, Jack Turner and Bob Kern. Going a little bit wide, I think, was Jack Turner. He's going to go side by side with Bob Kern down towards turn 5. And this allows Kenneth Gilmer to get away a little bit, but Kern just tucks back in behind Turner. And they carry on 8th, 9th and 10th on your screen here. And they've got Stefan Rostron just ahead of them on track.
Yeah, he's about 4 seconds down the road. Rostron at the moment is in a bit of no man's land. Also got battling for 12th place, Ramigo De Pasqua and Jay Friels. The Italian versus the man from Club Texas. They're battling it out further down your field, as I say, 12th and 13th. So there are battles all the way down the field. We may have been focusing a lot on what's happening at the front, especially in that race number 1, but there is action all the way through this one. Just to keep you abreast of what's happening in front, the lead battle is down to 4/10 of a second, but there's no moves being made at the moment. As we cut back to that one, we're on lap 10 at the moment, heading towards the end of lap 10. As we go through the final corner, Van der Ven just running that a little bit wide. There's a car in the wall there, deciding to take to the pit.
Fiddler, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Fiddler.
Trying desperately to not go a lap down. So the replay comes up here through the final corner, out on the grass, tries to keep the throttle in, but that wasn't a wise move. In the end, that's a spat him towards the inside wall and that tyre barrier. Jos Van der Ven's trying to defend from Steven Karkner for the lead. And that sort of advantages Mark Robertson, who now is right there with Karkner, and Manning Grinnan on the back of this pack. And these 4 have broken away a little bit from Bill Lawrence and John Morgan back there in 5th and 6th. So the lead pack of 7 continuing to get splintered down to 6, now down to 4. I wouldn't write Bill Lawrence out of getting back with this pack if they keep fighting side by side into turn 5, Karkner around the outside. But at the moment, yeah, 4 cars for the lead, 2 by 2, Noah's Ark up the hill. Karkner still around the outside of Jos Van der Ven as Robertson and Grinnan fight behind, and Bill Lawrence and John Morgan now part of this pack once more.
And that shows what happens if you then start squabbling amongst yourselves. You slow each other down, and that allows others you maybe made a breakaway from to come back into this one. So it ebbs and flows. It's like the natural sort of way of things, the way that sort of gets pulled apart then brought back together again. Really good to see these drivers though battling it out on track. We're on lap 11 of this race, 18 laps here in the 60 plus Racing Adventures series here on RaceSpotTV. Paul Smith and David Haynes with you for the coverage as we go into Canada corner. That's Bill Lawrence getting stuck in on Manning Grinnan behind, so that is 4th place for Bill Lawrence. So all of a sudden Lawrence and Robertson together, 2 teammates, and they're going to give it a good push. And you'd imagine those teammates, they'll be in communication with each other and working together to try and pull forward in towards the leading 2.
Yeah, indeed, they might just do so. And Jos Van der Ven's right underneath Steven Karkner. They're going to go side by side into turn 1. Careful, fellas. This has ended in tears before. And I have to say, in race 2, we've seen a lot more respectful driving and a lot less contact than we did in race 1. A lot of these guys have learned from that. Even if it's Steven Karkner with no result on the board in race 1, who has a lot more to lose in race 2.
Well, this is it. This is the pressure that Steven's got now, because he hasn't got that result in race 1 to fall back on. So he knows he needs to get a good result to get a real good start to the championship. But he can't risk too much to end up going for the lead and end up out of the race, because that would be an absolute nightmare of a start. Oh, lost control! Teammates together there! That was Robertson and Lawrence getting together through turn number 5. Absolute nightmare. That's the problem, and the problem that you can have if you have 2 teammates running together. One makes a mistake and wipes out the other. Look at the replay. Lawrence and Robertson, I believe it was Robertson who got out of shape there. And David, that is just the ultimate nightmare that you do not want as a team manager.
Yeah, and this onboard with Manning Grinnen will be amazing because one of those teammates almost flipped right over his head. Here's that moment, he sort of ducks to the left, but that car almost flew over his nose. He stays clean, so does John Morgan, but yeah, it just shows that hot track temperature. If you get taken offline where the track's a little bit dirtier, you've got to be really, really careful getting the throttle back open. That's narrowed our lead pack from 6 down to 4. And once again, John Morgan just staying on the back of the pack, trying to keep it clean. That strategy paying dividends for him as Karkner and Van de Ven still fighting wheel to wheel.
Yeah, they're giving it absolutely absolutely giving everything here tonight in this race. And still 1.4 seconds covering the front 4 here in this one. Across the stripe they go once again. Here comes Van de Ven down the inside. Now it gets a little bit more calculated. It gets a little bit more pushy here. Try and make those moves and make them stick in this one because the laps are running out here. We've got, what, 6 laps remaining in this one. Really good run from Van de Ven out of turn number 3, and that's going to allow him to go past Stephen Karkner here, and Grinnen is right with them in the slipstream. And as you mentioned, Morgan just sitting around, just waiting to pick up the scraps from the plate.
Just in the background of that shot, we can see Stefan Rostrom, who's now up into 5th spot, but not without the advantage of the draft, can't catch this pack. Is it going to go side by side? And I think Karkner lifts out of that a little bit, decides that it's not worth it right now to go wheel to wheel through there with Jos Van de Ven. Manning Grinnen still sitting pretty, and John Morgan being very, very patient. This is your lead 4.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Battling further down, by the way, Kenneth Duma, Jack Turner, John Unsby is getting back into that one. Bob Kern is involved in this one as well. So really close battling between these 4 drivers. They've all been swapping positions further down as well. Pretty close between Remigio De Pasqua and Jay Friels. Your lead 2, they're side by side going into Canada corner once again. And just to let you know as well, both Matt Robertson and Bill Lawrence are coming out of pit road, so they've taken a trip back to the pit lane, got repairs done to their cars, and they're back up and running, but they're down in 20th and 21st respectively in that one. Only 16 cars have not been on pit road, as here comes your lead 4 up the hill once again, and they'll come across the stripe for another lap in the books, and it's counted down towards the end of this one, David.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to go side by side once again, but in endurance racing, sometimes you count backwards from the end of the race to work out when you're going to make your last pit stop to decide on your strategy. In this, you might be counting back from the last lap to decide, well, I want to be in second coming towards Canada corner. Okay, so then with this laps to go and counting backwards to figure out where you want to be in this pack, with maybe 3 laps to go, with maybe 2 laps to go. But these guys are battling like it's the last lap right now as Karkner tries to get back past Van de Ven.
Yeah, and he does that down into turn number 5. We've seen how effective Karkner has been down into that corner on the brakes, so feels really comfortable, really confident in this setup. They have got a little bit of lap traffic ahead of them. That is Paulo Preto, who didn't have the best result in race number 1. He's a little bit further down the field than he was in race number 1, so this won't be his best result. We still look back at the battling 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, all battling away. John Unsby, who led the race for an early part of this event, unfortunately fell back through a little bit of contact in Canada corner, and he's making his way back. He fell down to about 10th place at one point, now back in 7th place at the moment, and putting the pressure on Kenneth Duma in front. They've got a big gap in front of them, Stefan Rosgen, and here comes Van de Ven and Karkner once again for your lead change, and Grinnen is starting to think about getting involved in this one, David.
Yeah, for quite a few laps, Manning Grinnen's been happy to sit in 3rd place and John Morgan happy to sit in 4th. That was the first time we've really seen Manning Grinnen consider mixing it up against Van de Ven and Karkner, who are very happy to go wheel to wheel any corner, any time. So certainly now 4 laps to go. Manning Grinnan wants to do the double, grab 2 race wins in a round. This is a good place to be now, but sooner rather than later, he's going to have to get his elbows out again.
Yeah, 4 laps remaining in this one then, heading towards turn number 3. And still the front 4 battling away. You've got battling away further down as well. John Unsby has aimed his way past Kenneth Duma, but we'll keep an eye on the lead, because here comes Kartner once again, and I feel that these two are just going to keep on swapping positions throughout the lap and throughout the rest of this race. Kartner running wide through 5. We've seen how if you run a bit further wide, you end up going through a bump in the dirt there. Damages the front wing, maybe damages the underneath of your car as well, as they go round turn number 7 in towards turn number 8. And Van der Ven just showing his nose, letting Kartner know that he's there. You've got to play a little bit of psychological game as well here, David, to get a win. And is he going to go down the inside of the carousel? No, he's not.
He's going to put the nose there. I don't think he's got the speed to make that work. It might compromise his exit a tiny bit, but definitely plays into the mirrors of Stephen Kartner, who has a lot more to lose, as we say already. So to get to the later stages, Kartner can't maybe fight as hard as Van der Ven. He'll defend to the inside here, and Manning Grinnan will still sit in 3rd. Van der Ven goes round the outside of Canada corner. Doesn't quite get the power down as well. They'll go side by side through Bill Mitchell bend, and the outside will become the inside in the next corner. They managed to keep that clean. This is the longest sort of passage of play where they've been side by side in quite a long time. I think Van der Ven loses out on the exit of the final corner though.
Yeah, he does. He's going straight into that queue. He didn't want John Morgan to go ahead as well. By the way, Kenneth Duma, he's dropped down the order a little bit, down to 9th place on that last lap. Had an incident, so he's lost a ton of positions there. So Unsby up in 6th place. Here comes Kartner and Grinnan now, side by side through 1. Grinnan running wide, and that's going to allow Kartner to just get ahead. Doesn't let Van der Ven though get involved in 2nd place, so they're going to have to stay in line here as they come out of that corner down towards turn number 5, and already Jos Van der Ven is thinking, which way do I go? And he's going to let Grinnan have the look on Kartner here. Not making that move stick though, and it's just being patient. Time is running out here. 3 laps remaining in this race, David.
Yep, exactly. And as these leaders begin to fight, begin to defend harder, their lap times are hurting from it a little bit. Stefan Rostgen in 5th has pulled 2 seconds out of this lead pack. That puts him 3.5 behind John Morgan. He probably only needs to get another 2.5 seconds before Stefan Rostgen in 5th is well and truly on this pack, as they keep battling as the temperature and the pressure ramps up a bit to get towards the end of the race.
Yeah, fantastic racing from him. Grinnan feeling the need to try and get a bit of slipstream from that lap traffic in front. It wasn't lap traffic, sorry, it was Stephen Kartner. There is some lap traffic in front of them though, but Grinnan just trying his best to go. That flat gap was never going to open there for Grinnan, so he has to just back off going into Canada corner. The Canadian is in the lead, Stephen Kartner, as they're heading through the penultimate corner once again, running a little bit wide there for the 75 car. Through the final corner, Grinnan, not the best run. This is going to give Van der Ven the perfect opportunity to get a run perhaps, as Kartner once again going defensive, going up to the wall, and just try not to give a slipstream to anybody here as he switches from left to right down the start and finish straight, and maybe wants Grinnan behind here because he's giving Grinnan the better toe as they go down the straight into turn 1, and Grinnan stays in that 2nd place.
2 to go, and they're still being relatively sensible, falling back into line for the corners, because if they keep going too wide like we saw Kartner and Van der Ven do for a couple of consecutive corners, that's where their lap times hurt, and that's where Stefan Rostgen will catch. So Manning Grinnan was patient for a long time, and now he's looking for the lead.
if you're Stefan Rosgen, you're there thinking, come on, keep on fighting, keep on slowing each other up, trip over each other, give me anything to get back with this battle. They're going to go 3 wide on the exit of turn number 5. They almost bang wheels there, and Van der Ven sensing the opportunity, and off goes Karkner and Grinnen at turn number 6. It's all turned on its head, and I said that Rosgen wanted them to get banging and tripping over each other, and that's exactly what happened there, David.
Yeah, at some point 3 cars trying to make it through the corner wasn't going to work, so we see this alternative angle of what happened, and it looks like Karkner's just not turned in when Grinnen was expecting. And so Grinnen's reached a point where he's had to turn into the corner, and Karkner was still on the inside, giving lots of space to Jos Van der Ven, who now leads from John Morgan. He's got a significant gap back to 3rd place Manning Grinnen, and Stefan Rosgen's now in 4th, could very easily grab 3rd place. They're going to get the white flag next time by.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about 0.8 of a second between Jos Van der Ven and John Morgan, who's in 2nd place, who's currently 1 place better than the last race. And he's certainly feeling good about that. Jay Friels, by the way, has pulled off to the side of the road. He's out of this race, but final lap will be started here. Stefan Rosgen, I would say, is the best position at the moment to try and get Slipstream up the straight, to try and get a podium position, and to say that it was involved in the battling early on and ran wide in one of the turn number 1, wasn't it, that he ran wide?
Final corner.
The final corner, should I say? Yes, thank you. That's why I have you here, to remind me of things as we go through 3 down the straight. Van der Ven in the lead here at the moment. That gap is closing with the slipstream. John Morgan saw what happened on that last race. Meanwhile, behind them, Manning Grinnen's not got the run here, and here comes Stefan Rosgen down the inside into turn number 5 on this final lap. He wants a podium position, and that's where he currently is. Rosgen up into the podium positions. Looking forward though, Morgan and Van der Ven, they're still pretty close together, and I tell you what, if Morgan stays where he is, he's in prime position to get a slipstream. There's a car getting out of the way. That's really sensible driving from the 777, although Grinnen nearly didn't see him and nearly went into the back of him there, but still Morgan has just dropped back a little bit, so it's going to be Rosgen and Grinnen that we keep an eye on here for the final podium position of this race. Rosgen taking a wide exit out of that corner, out of the carousel, and through the kink they'll go. The leader, Van der Ven, has got enough of a gap that he'll feel confident that he's not going to get under attack here, but here comes Grinnen on Rosgen now as they come into Canada corner for the final time. Grinnen, will he be late on the brakes? Stefan Rosgen down the inside will hold on to 3rd place here, but we'll look. Oh, he's still got to go down the inside as Grinnen and Bill Mitchell-Baird. There's no quarter asked, none given, but we'll look to the front then, because coming up, the start and finish straight now, Jos Van der Ven is only going to get it to the end here, and he will take victory in race number 2 of the season opener here. John Morgan 2nd. Who's going to be 3rd? It's Rosgen and Grinnen across the line, and again it's a photo finish, and who takes that one? It's Stefan Rosgen who just takes it. Wow, 16 thousandths of a second, I believe it is. My maths might be a little bit out on that one, but they are very close indeed, and they went across the line. Jack Turner was pretty close across the line with John Unsby, who finishes in 6th. Good recovery from John there. Looking further back, Charles Gillett and Mark Lisson, they're about a second between them as they're heading down towards Canada corner. This is a battle for 13th and 14th place. Both drivers with damage to their front wings here in this one, so it's been a race of attrition, as we say. It said earlier on in this one, as they're coming through the left-hander here in towards the final corner. I would say that Charles Gillett has got that position there, and he's going to finish up, and it's unlucky for some, but it's a good position to be in for 13th. David Riley as well is under pressure from Richard Valley as well. The UK and Ireland driver versus the New England driver as they're coming in towards the final corner now. still close together between the two of them as they go up the hill. Now the slipstream effect is going to come into effect here for Richard, and David Riley may be thinking about protecting, but he doesn't need to across the line there. So wow, what racing. Bill Lawrence and Donald Fitterer as well, pretty close across the line. And it was Lawrence who just finished ahead. Of course, Lawrence got involved with his teammate earlier on in that race. Well, we'll get his breath back here and go through the unofficial results here. And it's Jos van der Ven once again getting the win in this series. First of the season, takes that one 4/10 of a second ahead of John Morgan in second place. Stefan Rosejohn just getting that third place over Manning Grinnan across the line in fourth. Stephen Cartner ended up in that one in fifth place, with John Unsby in sixth, only just ahead of Jack Turner across the line there. Bob Kern eighth with Kenneth Duma, and a little instant dropping down to ninth place. Bruce Poole rounds out your top 10 in this race as we look onto the next screen, and it's a case of, well, who was left in that one, because Remigio De Pasqua in 11th with Gianni Raspaldo 12th. Charles Gilly and Mark Glisson we saw there at the end, 13th and 14th with David Riley and Richard Varley in 15th and 16th. Bill Lawrence ahead of Donald Fitterer 17th and 18th, with Kenneth Baldwin, the last driver on the lead lap, in 19th place. And then the rest of your field there, all one lap down or more. Leroy Coppin, Paula Pretto, Jay Friels, PJ Sally, Joel Martin, Wally Malsby, Matt Robertson, Bob Cohen, Ragnar Steinman, Stephen Isaacs, Andrew Fittler, Jared Florison, Larry Thomas and Franz Brink rounding that one up. But wow, what a finish. And we'll just have a quick word then to start with, and I mean quick, with Jos van der Ven. Jos, you got the win in the end there, but it was hard fought and some big drama happening behind you.
Yeah, you mean the drama between Manning and Steven?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I had a clean move in that turn, and I think I don't know what happened, but I just...
I don't know if we lost Jos there, but yeah, it was certainly close, 3 wide there, and hopefully we can get Jos back on this one, because he still had to defend from John Morgan at the end there, and but still really good to get a race win, and hopefully we get you back. But it must feel good though to get the win in the end, Jos.
It felt good, and I think that was the deciding move for the win.
Unfortunately, we keep on losing Jos there, unfortunately, on this one. So well, congratulations anyway on the race win there, Jos, and all the best for the rest of the championship. What we will do is quickly also bring in the man who finished in second place, and that's John Morgan. David, take it away very quickly.
Well, John Morgan, you got third in the first race just by hanging in there, and now you've got second by just avoiding the carnage. It turns out that's a pretty good strategy for you.
That usually works for me. It's you know, those guys racing up front will just take more risks than I'm willing to take, and like I said, as long as I can hang on the back of that front pack, I feel like I have a chance to get up on the podium, and it's worked.
And I'm sure...
Mistake.
Okay, hopefully we still got you here.
Apologies for that. Yeah, apologies for that. A little bit of technical problems there, but hopefully we sorted that. Yeah, take it away again, John and David.
Yeah, we've still got John here. So I was saying you were in a great spot to see that three-wide incident coming up the hill, and I'm sure we'll hear from some of those other drivers, but you saw it. How do you see that incident?
It's three wide. I mean, that's part of why I hang back, because those situations, a lot of times, he just puts a driver in a situation where he ends up doing something he has to do to avoid one car and ends up with an incident with the other car. And that's kind of what happened. I think Manning and Steve got caught out with Jost on the inside, and you know, it just left the door open for me to sneak through there and get up to second. So,
well, a good race and a good second place. It does improve your results as well. So, good start to the season. And while we've got you on air, anyone you would like to thank really quickly?
Yeah, as always, Joel, Mark, and Richard and Bill, the guys who really put all the effort into making this league what it is. And I think the grid sort of speaks to the work that they do. We had a great grid today, so thanks to them.
All right, thank you so much, John Morgan. Second place in race 2, and therefore, I think, third in the championship now. And we'll see. Paul, I don't think we've got anyone else we can speak to anymore.
No, absolutely, but yeah, that certainly was interesting racing to watch there, and I'm afraid that is all that we have got time for. Just a quick mention to say thank you to everybody who's joined us for the racing here today, and well, these championships will carry on. They're going to Charlotte Roval next week, along with Monza GP, Mount Panorama and Summit Point. We'll be bringing you live coverage on the 16th of January from Zandvoort, so make sure you check that one out. That's going to be a really good racing from there. Sebring, Tsukuba, Mosport, Watkins Glen, and then the final 2 rounds of the championship will be at Silverstone, and then the final round of the championship, as we saw last time, we'll be broadcasting live, but this time it's from Interlagos on February the 27th. So make sure you're joining us for the 60 plus racing adventures next time out on broadcast, 16th of January for that one. But from myself, Paul Smith, David Haynes, Hugo Lewis was behind the cameras. Also thanks to Istvan Below with TrekCams22.com, Andreas Werner for the overlay design from Andwen Designs, Simon Grossman with development of our graphics product, Appgeneering.com, bringing you their ATIVO product, and as always, Nick Thiessen for helping us bring your live timing on the RaceSpotTV website. But what a thrilling couple of races that was from the season opener. Make sure you stick around, because the next time these will be running is around Zandvoort, and that's going to be excellent racing to watch in this championship. So make sure you check that one out in mid-January. But until next time, it's good night.